Possible seizure warning. Recently I played through Call of Duty Black Ops and the game's loading screens drove me insane. The following is a completely accurate summary of the campaign. Trust me. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. The game begins immediately after selecting your difficulty, with you sitting tied down in a chair being bitched at by a guy behind a window. Apparently our name is Fuck You, and you'd better believe I'm going to be referring to Mason as that for the rest of the video. Windows 68 starts zapping us and asking questions, and then says the only line that anyone remembers from this game.
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean?
A seizure-inducing slideshow happens and we cut to a bar where we meet oh god, everyone looks really creepy. Carlos gives 100 Acre a map of the area, but some soldiers show up. So Fuck You tells 100 Acre to be cool so he remains calm and, just kidding, he immediately stabs the guy and summons a bottle to slap across his face. Carlos hands us a gun and I find out that this game doesn't have a field of view slider, so I'm giving it a 0 out of 10. After looking up a method to force the game into a higher FOV and restarting, we do the same thing as before and I adjust my eyeballs. Despite Black Ops not having a native FOV option, it actually works surprisingly well, as any cutscenes will revert the camera to the proper FOV, and then I can readjust it afterwards, so there won't be any of that weird giant hands business like in Battlefield 4. We walk outside and start murdering every cop in town, and I follow 100 Acre and Token Black character until we get run over by a car. After dying a second time because I'm playing like an idiot, things start getting weird because I guess the game didn't expect me to be so bad at the first 10 seconds of the game.
What? I don't remember that happening.
We borrow an Uber and drive through more cops before our drug high snaps us back to reality. So Windows 68 zaps us back to Cuba and we zipline down into a compound where we give a guard a special hug. I'm immediately killed stepping outside, so on the second round the guard isn't so lucky and I shoot his arm off instead. After stepping outside, I'm immediately killed again because this game really doesn't want you deviating from their predetermined pace. So we do that bit again, and I actually wait around like a good little boy. Exactly how Treyarch wanted. Also, once again, the game doesn't seem to like the fact that I died twice in a row, so now my heads-up display is completely gone, so enjoy this extra cinematic section. We go through a door into a bullet time section, but I'm using a pump-action shotgun, so it's extra awkward.
Yes,
Shotgun is not the right weapon for this, totally makes sense.
Let me fire! Jesus.
We go through another door and wait, whose hand is this? Remember how I said the FOV changes back to the correct one during cutscene moments? Well, I may have accidentally forced it back during this cutscene, so this part's a little wonky. Also, we kill Fidel Castro or whatever, but it doesn't really matter because it's not really him. After dying again, I lower the difficulty from hardened to normal because I actually need to get through this game in a reasonable time and footage of me dying for 7 hours wouldn't be that interesting. I can already hear the Call of Duty fanboys calling me a noob in the comments section. Please be gentle. We murder our way through a burning building and scare one of the enemies so badly that he stops functioning, so I shoot a grenade at him and he just absorbs it. Because the HUD is gone, I get failed for shooting a teammate, because how exactly was I supposed to tell? After clearing the area, we follow 100 Acre and Token Black character into some sugar fields and rope burn our way to an airfield where we struggle our way to run across a tarmac to a gunship, where I get a machine gun with an infinite clip, so I just hold it down and hope that I'm actually aiming at something because it's hard to see anything. Fuck You jumps out of the plane and clears the runway with an anti-aircraft turret, and the locals invite us to dinner. Dinner must have been crazy because Castro is alive and gifted us to some Russians, but one of them gets a little too close to the screen and we pass out because everyone's faces in this game are super creepy. Fuck You wakes up from Cuba and we go through another seizure sequence before getting bitched at again by Windows 68, where it's revealed that the dinner party got really kinky. We go through another seizure sequence and wake up in prison, getting punched by a walrus when the game freezes up, and that's actually part of the sequence and not the game bugging out, which could have fooled me. The walrus starts getting beaten up by a guard and we pick up a rock, and that's it. I didn't do anything here, so he gets beaten to death. This time there actually is a prompt for meleeing the guard, so I caress his head gently with the rock and help up the walrus. The walrus starts reciting the steps to escape the prison and Sky remembers it verbatim, so I guess there's actually more than one memorable line in this game. We get in an elevator and are more distracted by the broken shaders on Reznov's beard than what's actually going on in this scene. We come across a door that Fuck You can't be trusted to open on his own, and it's probably a good thing honestly because literally everyone who opened the door is immediately shot. Then, somehow, even though the exact same place is fucking wide open... Okay, so I just noticed this while editing, but the reason they're not gunned down here is because the guard who was on the machine gun was shoved off of the bridge by a prisoner. We're able to walk out and take cover behind a minecart. We meander behind a minecart that's being pushed slower than our walk speed and hip fire at some guards until we make it past the machine guns, and follow the walrus to a slingshot with a broken HUD that makes it especially hard to figure out where I'm aiming. After trial and erroring my way through the slingshot turret section, we skewer the winged beast and murder more guards, and some allies. We get tear gassed and an excessive amount of motion blur overtakes us, so we wake back up in our gamer chair and get flashed at, before waking up next to the walrus again and borrowing a bike that turns our FOV way fucking down, and whatever enjoyment is supposed to be had in in this section is completely ruined because I'm trying not to throw up from motion sickness. We ask a guard nicely to borrow his truck and commit some road rage before jumping onto a train, and the walrus drives off to somewhere else. We wake back up and I fucking hate these flashing sequences. I already got a fucking headache and I've been playing this game for less than an hour. Windows 68 shows us the proper way to imitate an owl. And we meet our new handler, the Eggman, who escorts us to the limo where we fucking flashing! Stop! After a driving montage, we're led into the Pentagon and fuck! Who the fuck thought these flashes were a good idea? I just want to talk. I just want to talk. We meet the president and go through another flashing sequence where we wake up with 100 Acre in a junkyard and we watch Weezer receive many cuts and bruises and scrapes, and I immediately do something stupid specifically because I was told not to.
Now don't shoot the helicopters. Well,
we give some guards special hugs and flash back to our gamer chair, where we say something racist and flash back to the junkyard, now fully dressed in guard gear. We meet up with Babbling and Token Black character and sneak into the enemy base, where they open a door for us and we blow our cover immediately, so we convince the rest of the guards at the base that we're totally on their side. We're given a crossbow with explosive bolts instead of just using, I don't know, the underbarrel grenade launcher that I was already using to take out some cars, and I completely miss exactly what it is I was supposed to be doing, so I stand around awkwardly for a bit.
what are you... The glowy thing to the right. Jesus, Will.
Okay. We zipline into the room that they're keeping Weezer, and Bowman wants to destroy Weaver's sweater, so he holds a thread as he walks away. I don't fucking know either. Seth told me this was a Weezer lyric. Despite the fact that Weaver's one eye down and was obviously being tortured, he's completely fine to continue the mission because I don't know. We flash back to fuck you arguing with Windows 68 for a second before going back to the junkyard and murder all the rocket scientists that were just trying to take a break before launch. I'm dared to do something stupid, and you know the drill.
Do it. Perfect.
We invent a hole in the wall and try to stop the launch, but it's too late, so we do the next best thing. Just blow it up. Wait, why didn't we start with that? We escape the facility, but not before getting fucking flashed again! And we cut back to Windows 68 and complain about Dragon Bitch being in our head. More flashing. I swear this is gonna trigger a fucking Vietnam what? Fuck you and the Eggman meet up with 100 Acre and get Ubered in a low-res Jeep until the runway is attacked, and our Uber runs over a guy and we fall out. 2 stars. I carry the Eggman through a trench and then he's miraculously fine, so why did I carry you all that way if you could have just walked, you lazy bitch? We're jumped by a local and defeat him with a David Cage QuickTime event, so he fucking explodes. We make it through the trenches with absolutely no problems whatsoever, and then get a little lost on what exactly we're supposed to do. We need to improvise. Let's use these conveniently placed C4 barrels.
There it is.
After finally figuring it out, we run to the hills, and the enemies run for their lives, and we get dazed and confused again and save 100 Acre from a Mormon who just wanted to talk about their religion. We borrow a Jeep with a tow missile and remove some tanks for parking violations, and this section is pretty much just a Disney ride. More flashing. My poor head. I'm getting a headache again just watching this for the edit. We argue with Windows 68 some more and have a Vietnam flashback where a helicopter crashes and literally all of us survive. Somehow. We puff the magic dragon, some enemies, and a couple civilians, but this game doesn't like that, so it makes us do it again, and they die anyways. 100 Acre opens a door for us, and we kick open another, and get surprised by a TV executive, but are saved by the walrus, who is totally definitely here right now, trust me. He conveniently gives us the dossier that we're looking for, and we regroup with everyone. We steal a designator from a search engine that no one uses, and designate some targets for the state of Texas to murder, because if there's one thing Texas really likes, it's killing foreigners. This happens.
That's an interesting mark.
Upside down. Yeah. Oh, we've managed to break a game.
Why is it all this stuff happen when you play the game?
We push open a door and get knocked inside a building, and then murder some locals until it very suddenly kicks us back to our gamer chair, and then right back to where we just were. I'm still confused. We defend an area for an arbitrary amount of time until an Uber comes to pick us up, and we watch 100 Acre do a slow-mo jump away from an explosion that was nowhere near him. More flashing. Do I need to point out every time there's flashing on the load screens? No. Am I going to? Have you watched a completely accurate summary before? If I have to suffer, so do you. We torture the main character from Dead Space for a bit before we're attacked, and I try to pull off an Easter egg for way too long. Way too long.
You're never gonna get it again. That was the end time.
In the ceiling, this way.
Yeah, I think it was like over there. Shot these. It's open. Interacted with it, I think.
Get the
I
fuck out of
adjust
here.
my eyeballs, and then I go. Alright, what's next?
We do some mild parkour, and I finally get to use the thunder gun, which only has 12 bullets. I mean, it's fun and all, but not worth the amount of time I wasted trying to get it. I struggle across some rooftops and slide down to another bullet time section, and once again, I am not using the right gun for this section, so it's extra awkward. We sit and kill an arbitrary amount of enemies until Isaac opens a door for us, so we can mirror's edge our way down some buildings that I'm just really bad at. Isaac gets shot in the head right as he was about to deliver crucial information, because that's the only way characters are allowed to die in these kinds of games, and I continue to fail my way down the rooftops. Some guys show up and help us out and aggressively motion at us all to get in, so I don't because I was told to never get into a stranger's van. And apparently that's actually the correct course of action for this scene, so this is just ridiculous normally. Flash! Ah! Fuck you, Treyarch! After more fucking flashing, the walrus shares a story with us and we go to the Arctic, where Dragon Bitch fills us in on our mission and we murder our way through a base, killing enemies and teammates alike. After committing a war crime, we have a door open for us and murder our way to Pistain, whom we bring to Dragon Bitch. We make our way into a Nazi boat and get a slideshow, where Dragon Bitch betrays us and locks us into a communal shower, and we watch people fail to properly clean themselves because they haven't showered in a while. The ship is attacked by the British and the door to our shower is blown open somehow, and very conveniently there's just a gun lying right next to the door. So we pick it up and ask our Russian allies to apologize for being dicks. We zipline away from the ship and it sinks into the ice and we just run off to somewhere else. The walrus sums up his story about the Russians after having literally just told us the whole entire thing, and more flashing load screens happen until we have a Vietnam flashback again. We wake up in the middle of a helicopter crash and David Cage our way out, where we murder some boat enthusiasts. Token Black character catches back up to us and we split up again immediately so we can deliver gifts to the good children of the village. We special hug some people and deliver more gifts, and then use the gift delivery button to— oh my god, those were explosives! I fail my way through town and borrow a rocket launcher to free up the river for surfboarding, and we jump into a hole where we meet back up with the walrus, who is totally actually here, guys, trust me, and realize that the flashlight is really broken. We wander into Pachinko's hidey hole, but he rigged it to blow, so we hold W and David Cage our way out of the hole to a cliff, where 100 Acre picks us up and we fade to a flashing load screen so the game doesn't have to come up with the way that the walrus made it onto the helicopter when he's totally actually really there, guys, trust me. Windows 68 tells us that we can't trust the walrus and finally lets us in on what the numbers are. So then he punishes us by putting us through another flashing sequence and we have another Vietnam flashback. We're given control of a boat and that's the end of the game because it crashed on us.
Oh no.
Whoa!
It was crashing.
Oh, 3 FPS. Oh god. Well, clearly this is not optimized for PC.
Now it's completely stopped.
Did it
I think
crash?
it crashed.
Yep. Flawless game. Flawless game.
Yeah, it crashed.
This time the boat doesn't crash on us and we clear the river for more surfing, and some 60s music starts playing, but I have no sympathy for this game and I am not pleased to play it, so it gets no credit for this. After failing our way through the boat section, we're let out to murder some more locals more locally, and climb into a crashed plane until the Hinds come back and force us on a roller coaster ride, and Dragon Bitch and Pachinko catch up to us and kick fuck you in the face. Why? Why all the flashing? Why? And now for something entirely different. We get into a Blackbird and fly off, but I don't actually get to fly it, I only get to tell people where to go, and then jump down into them and then fight some enemies and rinse and repeat. This level was probably really cool back in the day, but I'm really not feeling it, Mr. Krabs. Also, when I'm on the ground, I am the Eggman. We bullet time into a room, and of course I had to swap to a more awkward weapon because at this point it's too hilarious not to. We die our way through the array and the game fails me because I guess I just wasn't keeping to Treyarch's predetermined pace, and we do it again. We parachute down the side of a mountain, but I pull my chute too late and it kills me, so we have to go through that section again. We murder some townies and catch up to Pistain's lab, but he's out drinking and locks us in, forcing us to listen to him be a Nazi bitch and betray Dragon Bitch so that he can live. We borrow a car and an avalanche happens, and the game cuts to white. Cut back to the mountain where Lara escapes unscathed from the snow after surviving all that bullshit from earlier, and wait, that's not the right script. More flashing. Wait, no, take me back, please. I'll play more Tomb Raider if it means I don't have to deal with more flashing, please. Windows 68 wants Fuck You to tell him where the broadcast station is located, but Fuck You starts having another drug trip, which of course means more fucking flashing. I fucking hate this game. Here's more Vietnam, I guess. Fuck You wakes up in a cage and is dragged to a table with Token Black character, and they're both forced to recreate recreate the Russian roulette scene from the Deer Hunter, because Treyarch figured they could just steal this entire scene and nobody would notice because the average age of the player base is 12. Token Black character gets beaten to death and he was done so dirty that he's literally not even on the list of deaths page for Call of Duty Black Ops. Ice Cube didn't deserve this. Since Token Black character didn't want to play the game, they bring in 100 Acre to replace him, and he's a better sport. But when it's our turn, we decide to shoot the guy watching us, and literally no one else in the room was prepared for this. Are you fucking kidding me? We murder our way through a cave where Tony Stark built the first Iron Man, and catch up to the character who wasn't even important enough to have a real name and kill him. And it's really anticlimactic, just in case you weren't already convinced that they did Bowman dirty. We ask some locals nicely to borrow their helicopter and do some flying. I don't really know, this whole mission seems really excessive to me. And we set down to go find Pachinko's compound. We run through the jungle and break on through to the other side of Pachinko's office, where, surprise, he was waiting and prepared for us, because why the fuck wouldn't he be when we were just shooting up his entire staff? Pachinko beats up 100 Acre and then comes to beat us up too, but gets caught monologuing by 100 Acre, who stabs him in the gut. Unfortunately, Pachinko lights a grenade and he and 100 Acre fall out a window and explode, but that's okay, he'll recover. Then the Walrus, who is totally, really, definitely here guys, trust me, it's totally plausible, comes to pick us up and we cut back to fucking lights. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you! Windows 68 tells us we went rogue after that, which fuck you blames on the numbers, and I blame these flashing lights because I'm getting pretty nuts at this point too. And then more flashing lights. This game is less than 6 hours long and it drags on for fucking ever. The Walrus takes us to his Animal Crossing island and we're forced to stealth through a section until we're not, and then we murder a bunch of veterinarians. We catch up to Pisstain and watch the Walrus kill him, but Windows 68 calls us a liar and says that we're the ones who killed him, and we flash back to 20 minutes before that. Now we are the Eggmen, and I immediately fail a mission because of friendly fire. So we do that again and make our way through the island, where we get lit as fuck with the locals before we run inside. We catch up to fuck you and finally reveal that the Walrus wasn't real, which we can see clearly because we are the Eggmen. I am the Eggman, and I am the Walrus. Goo 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 jube. We cut back to Windows 68 where it's revealed that he was actually the Eggman and Weezer the whole time, which literally no one is surprised by. The Eggman has a great fall and we run through a flashing sequence where we remember that the Walrus brainwashed our brainwashing so that we would be brainwashed to prevent our brainwashing instead of being brainwashed. Still following? Fuck you finally remembers where the numbers lead and we head off to the Gulf of Mexico to take a vacation at our timeshare. Speaking of which, I've got a great deal on a timeshare if you're interested. Never mind. We light up a boat and kill some fishermen, and then we somehow swim to the bottom of the ocean and enter the Kumon Learning Center, where we kill some tutors until we catch up to Dragon Bitch. We bitch at Dragon Bitch for a bit and then drown him underwater, because irony. And then we escape the Kumon Learning Center, swim back up to the surface, and that's the end of the game. Or is it? Bum bum. And now we're playing as JFK, fighting zombies that are invading the Pentagon, and I'm not really sure this is still the campaign. Are we sure this is what's supposed to happen? Game over.
0, 8, 11, 22, 21, 5, 17. 17, 0, 10, 2, 23, 1, 8.